Hey, what is going on, guys? It's your man right here, the one and only Lee Sanders, and I'm coming back at you all with another cool album review. I know, right? It's been a good minute since we officially have done an album review for you guys, but I am back with you all for a very good reason. As this go round, I am reviewing Sir Robert Plant, the Thunder God from Led Zeppelin. He is back this go round with a new album that had dropped just this past Friday, so just a couple of days ago, called Carry Fire. It is his 11th solo album, and I gotta tell you off the break, this is one of those type of albums that's definitely gonna be growing on you. Like when you initially listen to it, you're gonna kind of be like, well, that was an interesting journey I had came across. I'm not really sure where exactly. It was a good journey, but like I'm not quite sure where exactly. I need to listen to this again. It's one of those type of albums that definitely grows on you over time. And look, it makes sense for me to talk about this album because everybody knows, at least longtime RCWR show listeners know, I have been a huge fan of Robert Plant. So much so, I actually had saw him in concert at Constitution Hall back in 2011 when he had brought back Band of Joy. Had some really great seats for that event. I actually had posted a written editorial review for it, and I don't know how many of you guys can actually see in the background here, but there's actually a frame right up there. You can barely make it out, but when I was at the event, I actually had ended up purchasing a couple of Robert Plant t-shirts, and one of them was the front cover of the Band of Joy album back 2010. So like it was cool too, because like my girl asked me, she said, what are you gonna do with these shirts? Are you like ever gonna wear them? I'm like, nah, probably not. And so a couple of years go by, and for a really cool birthday present, she decided to actually frame one of them for me. And I believe the other one is framed too, but don't quote me on that. But I know for certain that one is definitely framed. And great time. That was actually like my first ever concert that I had went to. And it was actually thanks in part to one Eddie Trunk. For those of you that remember Eddie Trunk from That Metal Show and a host of other shows that he had hosted, specials and all of that he hosted on VH1 Classics. Not ranting, I'm getting back on track. It's still connected to Robert Plant, but it makes sense for me to review this album because I've been a Robert Plant fan for many years now. I have every single Led Zeppelin album. I have every single Robert Plant album. And for me, honestly, if you want me to be straight up honest, I would have to say when Led Zeppelin's In Through the Outdoor had dropped, that technically was Robert Plant's solo album right there, because Jimmy Page, John Bonham, they really were not like it wasn't all four guys going into the studio and hammering it out like it used to. Like, long story short, Jimmy Page, John Bonham, they were battling with their own addictions, demons, etc. So honestly, when it came to In Through the Outdoor, that pretty much was all about Robert Plant and John Paul Jones. That's pretty much what it was about. So technically, like amongst a lot of us fans, we kind of look at that as really Robert Plant's technical solo effort, but the incredible journey that he's basically been on since that period, also trying to find himself through the whole MTV generation, VH1, the whole synthesizers, pop rock, trying so hard to find his identity. It really wasn't until the Now and Zen album where we have first got that glimpse of New World, kind of Middle Eastern, Arabic type of New World music, that we go, hey, kind of comes off as if Plant finally started finding his craft. And then like once he dropped that album, then he kind of pretty much was album by album finding his own groove. So for those of you that remember my review for 2015's Lullaby in the Ceaseless Roar, you know how much of an album I thought that was. I thought that was a fantastic masterpiece. And remember when I did the review at that time, I had made a mention or a quote of Robert Plant in the interview that he gave, basically saying like, this is like a really good album. I think honestly, I think I'm done. I don't quite see what else I have to really lay out there. So I mean, he actually was contemplating retirement or whatever. And like late last year, going into this year, we kind of heard rumblings that Plant was making a couple of moves. He was doing something. A lot of people thought that maybe it was going to be a Led Zeppelin reunion. I did not jump on that. I did not. I was very reserved. I'm like, nah, I got a feeling he's going to do some type of a solo effort. Let's see what happens. But Led Zeppelin definitely was not on my mind. Sure enough, we finally find out, like, I think it was like spring of this year or like late spring, that he was putting the finishing touches on a new solo album. And off the break, I gotta tell you guys, it definitely follows up on what he did with Lullaby and the Ceaseless Roar. Now, this go around, once again, this album was released by Non-Such / Warner Brothers Records. And I tell you, a quick turnaround for this album, because 2014 was Lullaby and the Ceaseless Roar. And then you did have a live album that came out a couple of years like prior to that, but that was a live album. So if you want to get technical, like Band of Joy from 2010, and I bring that up for a reason. Band of Joy from 2010, that had saw Robert Plant share the production responsibilities with Buddy Miller. But then when you go to Lullaby and the Ceaseless Roar, that actually was just straight up produced by Robert Plant. This go round, Robert Plant comes back solo to be the producer for this album as well. And he still has the same backing band, which is, as you all know, the sensational Space Shifters, or as I like to know them as the Strange Sensation. I've always basically known them as that. It basically goes back to the damn Dreamland album that came out in 2002. But I gotta tell you, let's go over the tracks here, because I really love the breakdown of these tracks. It's a short album too, as far as the length goes. It's only like 48 minutes long. You got 11 tracks, but I mean, you pretty much go through this rather quickly. Again, his backing band, and has been for really since he came back in the early 2000s, the Strange Sensation, but they're now known as the Sensational Space Shifters, with a couple of additions, as you now have Seth Lakeman, who has been credited to be part of the band, but another new addition, Liam Tyson. That guy plays one mean freaking guitar. Anybody that has not checked out the PBS special, I don't know the name offhand, but like diehard Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant fans know exactly the PBS special I'm talking about that came out last year. I want to say Austin City Limits. Yes, Austin City Limits. You can definitely see Liam Tyson's guitar work at hand. He is a great addition to this band. Is a great compliment to Robert Plant. One of the standout tracks that they had performed live on Austin City Limits was, oh God, it's coming back to me. Give me a second, guys. It's coming back to me. Oh, baby, I'm gonna leave you. Great. His guitar work on that one, you're gonna love it. But the tracks on this one, man, let's go ahead. Let's go over some of these tracks. I like the opener, which was basically the May Queen. That was actually a pretty good, nice, good, strong acoustic opener. It actually reminded you of Friends from Led Zeppelin 3. At the same time, it also had a nice West Safari African vibe to it. Really nice play on the melody. And throughout the journey of this whole album, that's actually something that you experience over and over again. And you notice it like off the break, but the more and more you dive into each track, it really comes off as though Robert Plant is focusing more on melodies this go round. And me personally, I did not have a problem with that whatsoever. So from the May Queen, we go to New World, which is a really good rock song, quite honestly. I mean, just to go from the transition of what I just described as the opener with the May Queen to New World, kind of good, nice rock vibe to it. It actually had a Oasis vibe to it. For those of you that are familiar with Oasis catalog, I can't really describe Oasis. You would just, those that know their music and know their music well know exactly what I'm talking about when I say it has an Oasis vibe to it. Season Song, one of many songs throughout this album, finds Robert Plant uh, honestly in a romantic mood, if you will. I guess in part you can kind of say this is like a B-side, if you will, to In the Mood, right? But no, Season Song, very nice romantic ballad. Very nice, slow, upbeat, really slows the pace down, not dramatically, but just enough that you really just get lost in the moment. Comes off very sequence like. Dance with You Tonight, another hopeless romantic song. Yes, I know, right? Two romantic songs back to back. Honestly, my interpretation, and Sir Plant may disagree with the interpretation, but I'm kind of led to the impression that given the relationship that he did have going on with Patty Griffith, that he was still a little bit hurt by the way that relationship had ended. And now that a couple of years has passed, he's actually dived into it a little bit more in recent interviews, basically saying he had tried to move out to Texas to be with her, and he found that while living in American soil was great, once again, he also found himself to be in a position where he was constantly under the limelight of the press because he's this big bona fide rock star, right? He's a Hall of Famer, right? And like everywhere he goes, he really doesn't have privacy. Whereas if he could go to Europe, whatnot, he can just be an average Joe walking down the streets and it's all good. He's just treated like one of the average citizens out there. But he kind of noticed in America, it was just so, everything he was doing was under the microscope, that he eventually he decided, you know what, I can't quite do this anymore. I want to go back home. I'm getting a little bit homesick. And well, Patty, I guess, wanted to stay in America. Robert wanted to leave America. And that's pretty much. But the point, you can tell with just these two songs alone. Also, Carry Fire. Carry Fire is another romantic song as well, but not jumping ahead too far. But I mean, Season Song, Dance with You Tonight, Carry Fire, definitely songs that really showcase Robert Plant's sentimental heart. It really catches him at his most raw, I personally feel, as he is still yearning for love. He is still yearning for that significant other, that warm caress, that touch, and all that, that embrace. So again, for those of you that like those nice romantic ballads and all that, you're definitely going to find it here. Now, you see the title of this video, right? Yes, there is great political talk on this album as well. So on top of Robert Plant being somewhat of a hopeless romantic, right? Close to 70 years of age, still looking for love. Maybe he's looking for love in all the wrong places. Who knows? But he's also tackling political events as well, like with New World. That basically recounts a invasion, a European invasion of the Americans, of the Americas. Uh, I like that. I really like that. Carving up the world again, a wall, not a fence. That's basically inspired by the uh, Brexit, Trumpism. All right. So you definitely find your political songs right there. And it's honestly nice seeing a lot of these veteran musicians come out and being so greatly influenced, or at least influenced to a small degree, and being challenged more lyrically to write about what's going on currently in these, what some are describing as turbulent times that we live in. And I tell you, it was really nice hearing Robert Plant take a crack at what all has been going on since last we heard from him 3 years ago with New World, carving up the world again. Great stuff right there. Love those. Love those. So let's see what else we got here. We also have Away with Words, another slow ballad. Carry Fire. Carry Fire, really great standout track. Of course, self-titled album. That's the name of it, right? This one, really good. Has a great Egyptian Mediterranean vibe to it. Slight romantic vibe, because I told you all before that this is another romantic track as well. I got to give it up to Justin Adams. I feel he definitely shines big time on this track. A lot of you all definitely know Justin Adams has been with Robert Plant for many years now. Honestly, like, it goes as far back as when Robert Plant was touring right before he put out 2002's Dreamland. Bones of Saints. I like this track. This was actually a really great throwback to the 80s. It definitely had an 80s vibe to it. It almost kind of seemed like a unreleased but updated B-side track to something maybe you might have heard from Pink and Blue or something like that. It really kind of has that vibe, right? I BS you not. You guys would actually like that. Keep It Hid. We're on track 9 now. That's really good. Great keyboard arrangements. Synthesizers are really dominating. It kind of screamed John Paul Jones. For some reason, I'm just like kicking back and I'm just picturing John Paul Jones just all over this, because it just really kind of felt like, damn, am I listening to a John Paul Jones arrangement? You swear you were, but we know John Paul Jones isn't on this one. Be nice, though. But no, I love the keyboard, synthesizer arrangements. Nice, good, slow tempo. Think also Tin Pan Valley from Robert Plant's, oh, God, what was that album? Mighty Rearranger. Also think Tin Pan Valley from that respected album, Mighty Rearranger. You guys that have the album, you definitely know the vibe I'm talking about. Bluebirds Over Mountain, that has a really great electronic beat to it. You also got some really great complimentary vocals from the Pretenders, Chrissy Hindi. So great track right there as well. Also love the closer track. I mean, honestly, it's just one of those albums you're just going on a really great roller coaster of awesome melodies, but also at the same time, you're going through the emotions of what's happening as far as the political season, just everything. It almost kind of feels like you're having this outer body experience, if you will, and seeing and feeling what Robert Plant has been experiencing in his personal life and what he's been seeing of the world that we live in through his respected eyes. But the way he's kind of putting it out there, a lot of times it kind of comes off from a one person type of view, but then other times it kind of comes off like he's talking in third person, so to speak. Not saying I, Robert Plant, but you guys kind of get the vibe that I'm talking about. Vocals, for those of you that may be a little bit curious how Robert Plant's execution on the vocals did this go round, honestly, it is literally a follow-up to Lullaby and the Ceaseless Roar. So anybody that has that album, you can back me up. His vocals basically are matching what he did with that effort. Honestly, like, I noticed personally, his vocals have remained the same, honestly, ever since really 2002's Dreamland, and you just go all the way up to now. Now, he may not scream the high notes like he did in the early to mid 2000s like he used to, but there's certain parts during this album where just for a brief moment he gives you a little bit to let you know that he can still go there. And he said numerous times that he can still hit those high notes, but that he's finding now more than ever that on top of enjoying songwriting, he's also really enjoying coming up with just really great melodies as well. Little bit raspy, very soothing, but the way it comes off, his voice comes off so mystical, so wise. I mean, I love it. I love it. I can't wait to see this guy in concert. Hopefully he comes to the Washington, D.C. area. Doesn't look like he is right now, as dates were announced just a couple of weeks back. Looks like the closest he's going to be to the D.C. area is down in Norfolk, Virginia in February. Yeah, that's not really going to work for me. Robert Plant, come on, man. It's been like since 2011. You need to come on back to the D.C. area, man. Come on back. But for me, this was a great, strong follow-up to Lullaby in the Ceaseless Roar. I would highly encourage you guys to check out this album. This album definitely gets a strong pass from me. If I had one complaint, honestly, I just wish there was maybe a couple of more tracks that could have been added. I mean, honestly, if I could have been given up to an hour, I really would have been totally in euphoria. But it's all good. I'll take what I can get for now. But it definitely gets a pass for me, a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being crap, 10 being the awesome sauce. I'm definitely going to go on ahead and give this album a strong 9 out of 10. You heard it here first, 9 out of 10 for Robert Plant. Carry Fire, it gets a 9 out of 10. For those of you that have this album, I'd like to know what you all thought about it. So go on ahead, post your thoughts down below. And if you're new to me, welcome. I'd love it if you could subscribe. I talk a little bit about music, sports, entertainment, a little bit of everything. So special shout out to you guys that like a little bit of everything, especially those of you that are into wrestling and all of that. Like I said, I cover a little bit of something for everybody. You can catch me regularly live Tuesday nights on Spreaker.com. I usually come on after WWE SmackDown goes off the air on the East Coast, 10 p.m. Eastern. We also come on after every WWE live pay-per-view event. Hey, man, if there's an album that maybe you want me to consider for a future installment of reviews, definitely get at me by posting a comment down below. You can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, at the RCWR Show. And please, just like what you're seeing right now on display, make sure you give me that wherever it is right now, but make sure you give me that like, that subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. Okay, guys, until next go round, I'm definitely wishing you all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. Once again, Robert Plant's Carry Fire. See, I keep thinking Seize Fire, but that's not the name of the damn album. It's going to take me a while to get used to it, but nah, I'm just playing around with you guys. Once again, Robert Plant's Carry Fire definitely gets a strong pass from me, a 9 out of 10. I think this is like the first time since I've been reviewing albums for the past couple of years that like one album by an artist, the same artist at that, has scored the same rating. I'm pretty sure I also gave Lullaby a 9 out of 10. I'd be shocked if I maybe gave it an 8 out of 10, because I know it was definitely one of those albums I kind of had to go back and listen to over and over and over again. Liked it off the break, but I'd be shocked if I didn't give that a 9 out of 10 as well. Anyway, don't mean to rant, but kick on back. Pick up the album right now. It's everywhere. iTunes, everywhere, man. It's at Best Buy, all that good stuff. All right, guys, until next go around, wishing all y'all would be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you all next go round. Everybody, do take care.